richest country. She even started giving loans to other countries. But today she is the poorest country. Why has she become the poorest country now? It is because she has not assisted the poor and the needy. She does not make good use of the money. Those in power put the country's money into their own pockets. Others struggle to share the national cake, each trying to grab as much as they can keep. In the course of these struggles, various avenues are opened through which thieves and swindlers also share in the booty. God knows all about Nigeria. A great many people suffer and are afflicted as a result of this attitude. Every time it is reported, a house has been burnt, thieves have broken into the banks, robbers have burglarized a shop. Have you used your means to help the unfortunate ones, as God has instructed? No precondition for assisting those less fortunate than yourself. If we were to understand, the wisdom given us by God is meant to be used for the good of others, so that we remain in peace, then all money given us is meant to be used in common with our fellow man. All other things we have are meant to be used by mankind in common. God does not regard one thing as inferior or superior to the other. What remains to be done is for us to make good use of these resources in the service of God and for the good of our fellow workers in the vineyard. This statement does not imply, if you do not have, you should give. The statement is quite plain. He says those who have 2 coats should impart 1 to those who have none. Those who have should give to those who have not, so there should be no sadness, no weeping, no regrets in this kingdom, and so there may be no sickness. Do not set any condition for anything you do, neither promise paying at the end of the month, nor pledge to your property to indemnify yourself, or ask for a fee before you render any services. If you behave in this way, you are completely overwhelmed with darkness and great suffering. Brethren, it does not so much matter whether you are educated or not, for high educational attainment cannot influence it. Whether you sing or do not sing has nothing to do with it. Dexterous dance cannot also influence the turn of events. You cannot be exempted, no matter what your station in life has been. Whatsoever God has bestowed on you, use them in helping those who have not. Once you do this, it is enough evidence you are practicing the word of God, the spirit of oneness. There are now certain countries practicing oneness, communism. If therefore every person in our country practices this gospel, there will be no theft, no death, no sickness, and murder will be considerably reduced, and every person will remain in peace and tranquility. That is what I have brought. What you hear today is the real truth, and it is brotherhood. Every person should be engaged somehow in order to help others less fortunate than himself. This does not mean people should be idle. All hands should be on deck, producing something not only to support oneself, but also to assist others. He has given you hands to work for him. He has given you eyes to see for him, and he has given you the mind to reason for him. This is not a matter to wait until it is revealed to you in a vision, or until you have a dream. The Spirit has already told you to work and earn a living, and whatever you have should be used in the service of God. Whether we like it or not, that is the indebtedness of every person to God. And if you do not comply with it, you are lost. It is said, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. Do what you may, you only deceive yourself. If you are rich in the things of this world, but you see your brother, who is in want and has need, but you shut up your bowels of compassion from him, how can the love of God dwell in you? God has given you 1,000 naira, but you come across a brother who does not even have a kobo, neither has he any clothing to cover his nudity. Must you wait for him to ask you for aid when you have known his need? You have to give him money, buy clothes for him, and arrange for his food. God will surely bless you. This provision is neither grievous nor burdensome on you. If you have only one, you have no problem. God himself knows you have only one, and cannot give it away to another person. This injunction is not binding on you. In the same token, if 2 of you have equal quantities of goods, it does not imply you should add your own to what he already has. The injunction is also not binding on you. It does not imply, if 2 of you have 20 things each, you should add 10 of yours to his, so that he may have 30, while you have 10. What it does imply is that all those who have should look after those who have not. Our second lesson will now be read, because in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word may be established. Second Bible lesson, Luke chapter 3 verse 11. He answereth and saith unto them, He that hath two coats, let him impart to him that hath none, and he that hath meat, let him do likewise. Brethren, have you heard what has been read to you? He has merely used these two items to serve as examples. This is the finality of the gospel of God. These two examples are meant to help you work out a system of distribution of all other possessions of yours. Decide within you and take it as a point of duty. Whoever is lacking in anything, if you have two of them, give one to the person who has none. You shall have then complied with the instruction of God. If you come across somebody who has children, but has no food to feed them, and you have enough food, send food to them, and henceforth, you have to look after them food-wise. If you have a number of children, but know of someone who has no child to fetch water for him, you have to send some of your children to serve him with whatever item you have been blessed with by God, whether food or land, or house, or any other thing, since that particular thing is not yours, it belongs to God, and it is God who owns it. You are bound to share with others. He has given this injunction that any person who has two coats should give one to him who has none. He who has food should do likewise, and every other item should be treated in the same way. This instruction does not come from man, but from God. Those who are blessed abundantly, but who refuse to give out to others, are regarded as saboteurs. Spiritual inspection. Angels are now going from house to house inspecting the attitude of every person. That is why there are so many losses, and people suffer from diverse forms of illness. Sometimes they are sick to the point of spending all their money to obtain treatment and yet no success. What has brought about bribery and corruption? Is it not for this very reason? What brings about robbery? Is it not misery? What prompts necromancy and preparation of concoctions? It is the same thing. All the sins and vices plaguing this world emanate from this gospel. If we, therefore, abide by the words of the gospel, there would be no problem and difficulty, no theft, no falsehood, no exasperation, no deceit, and no sickness. Abiding by this gospel is not grievous. Whatever you are blessed with does not belong to you, whether it is money, food, house, land, children, all are given by God, and you are ignorant of how they manage their way into your hands. It is expedient that, since nothing belongs to you, distribute these things to those less fortunate than yourself. So brethren, if you have not put into practice this gospel, you have not yet started the work of God. Sometimes a person may have money, but when you ask him for it he denies that he has. This is different from a case in which somebody has been known to be covetous, but you have money. What prevents you from giving money to such a poor person? It is better to give than to receive. Acts chapter 20 verse 35. God has never instructed you to give a loan of 10,000 naira to any person. Somebody who already has 5,000 naira comes to you to obtain a loan of 10,000 naira. What does he want to do with the money? It is said, he who has two coats should give one to him who has none. Sometimes somebody has 5 naira, but goes to another person to borrow 5 naira to make 10 naira for his need. If I am placed in that position, I would not give you, because you have not exhausted the 5 naira you have. God has not implied you should give to those who already have, but he says, anyone who has two coats should give one to him who has none. He who has food and other things should do the same thing. The emphasis is on those who have none. Unless you have never experienced poverty, you will be ignorant of the condition of the poor ones. Poverty or want is the worst sickness in the world. If there is a person who has not got even a koga or cloth to wear, such a person is not fit to live. Do not joke with any person who is in a position of abject poverty. If you toil with him, he can cut off your head, or deal with you anyhow. On the other hand, whenever you come across somebody in lack, if you give him even 1 kobo he will be very happy, knocking his head on the ground several times, and will pray that God should bless you. Indeed, God will bless you. It is incumbent upon you to abide by this gospel. We should neither add nor subtract anything from the gospel. Take note, when you get out from here, you should not go begging, somebody should give you sutan. What about the one you are wearing, is it yet torn into rags? To whom much is given, much is required. There may be a sick person who has money, but he wants to recover from illness. If you give him money, has he complained? He needs money. He wants to be well. There may be another person who has both food and money, but he is illiterate. He cannot even write a letter, and is asking for